Good morning. The mission of the NAACP is to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights of all persons and to eliminate race-based discrimination. I am Judy Hill, president of the Akron branch NAACP, and I stand here for my core committee members, Deb Shamblin and Annette McCoy, NAACP presidents in the Northeast Ohio region. I bring greetings on behalf of all of the Northeast Ohio NAACP presidents and their units. This forum is brought to you by the Akron, Ashtabula, Cleveland, Elyria, Lorain, Mahoning, Oberlin, Portage, Stark County, Trumbull County, and Worcester branches. I'd like to take a moment to thank the candidates who took the time out of their busy schedules to be with us today. I also want to thank our moderator, Mr. Ron Ponder, and also to thank all of the political candidates representing Summit County who are here with us today. Thank you, Eileen Shapiro. I also would like to thank the city council members that are here with us today, county council members, and all elected officials. A special thank you to our state representative. I saw Amelia Sykes. I don't know if Verna was here. Thank you, Amelia, for being here. We all recognize the importance of our region and the importance of us being here to celebrate our candidates and knowing what it is that they stand for so that we can make informed decisions. But I also want to take a moment to thank all of the collaboratives from Summit County, Trumbull County, and alike, just to do that and get it off up front. All the Ohio chapters of the A. Philip Randolph Institute, the Akron Public Schools, the East High staff, especially Zamoria Parnell, Ms. Veronica Sims, Akron City Council at Large and our Political Action Chair, Akron Summit Community Action, the Akron Canton Barristers, 100 Black Men of Summit County, Black social workers, Black elected officials, the Progressive Democrats, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Akron Organizing Collaborative, PC PAC, League of Women Voters, Progressive Democrats, Federated Democratic Women, and the Young Black Professionals. The Urban League Trumbull and Mahoning Counties, TNT, Trumbull Neighborhood Partners, Hub Community Action Group, I mentioned the Young Democrats, Black History Productions, Black Nurses Association, Warren G. Harding High School, and Community Volunteer Council, Northeast Ohio Multicultural Arts. Let's give them a round of applause. Ron Ponder really needs no introduction. He's a native of Akron, Ohio. Go Akron. He's past president of the Stark NAACP. He's a political and community talk show host, and he's here to moderate our panel today. Please give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Judy. And I want to thank you for coming. I think this is very important. And what's important about this, especially in these days and times, is that with all the turmoil going on the political level, there's still some good candidates, still some good people. And we have to be astute in recognizing who those good people are, and those are the ones that we support. We don't support the ones that don't deserve it. We do support the ones that do. And only you can make that decision. I think it's really cool that an NAACP, not just one, but the entire state NAACP is supporting this supporting this event. And I want to introduce to you a person that I just met. He's the president of the Ohio Conference of NAACP Presidents, Mr. Tom Roberts. Please, Tom, stand up. Now, we're going to have somewhat of a loose format. It's important to me for you to get your questions answered and for the candidates to be able to answer your questions. We have a loose format. I'm going to give each candidate 2 minutes to introduce themselves and why they're 3 minutes and why they're running. So let's begin by having our candidates introduce themselves and why they are running. And let's start with Ms. Tara Samples, please.
Good morning. Come on, guys. Good morning. My name is Tara Samples, and I am currently an Akron City Councilwoman, born and raised right here in Akron, right here in East Akron. And it is my honor and privilege to run alongside Congressman Dennis Kucinich for Lieutenant Governor for the state of Ohio. We are running on a ticket of hashtag power to we the people because we believe that we need to restore our state government back to the people, for the people, and by the people. And I'm honored to run with my colleague and friend, and I'm going to turn it over to him now.
Tara Samples, it's an honor to be on a ticket with you because of your life experience. People ask me, why did I ask Tara Samples to be on this ticket? She's a mother of 5, a grandmother of 10. She's someone who has the life experience as growing up in the inner city, being an activist, advocating on behalf of people, rising to the level of a city council person, working on the practical matters that affect people's lives and housing and utility rates and things like that. So, Tara, I'm so grateful to be up here on the stage with you in your hometown and to share with all of you what I would bring to the governor's office with your support. I grew up in the city of Cleveland, the oldest of 7. My parents never owned a home. They were renters. And as the family grew from 1 child to 7, we often had difficulty finding a place to rent. By the time I was 17, we lived in about 21 different places, including a couple cars. When Langston Hughes wrote, "Life for me ain't been no crystal stair," I related to that. But in that experience, in that journey, what it taught me is what the practical aspirations are of people. And it gave me a particular lesson because most of the time when we were hunting for rent and finding it, we're often one of the only Caucasian families in a community of color. And so my politics, which focuses on safe neighborhoods, on housing, on education, on making sure people can have decent jobs and decent wages, all comes from an inner city experience. And I'm not saying that's where I came from, I'm saying that's who I am. That's why this ticket, which represents diversity and unity, also represents at its core the power of the people in getting that organization of government to actually function for people, to make sure it delivers for people, and not just for those interest groups in Columbus, which we understand have a death grip on state politics, take the wealth of the state and send it to the top. Tara Samples and I are going to reverse that and get the money back into the neighborhoods. Thank you very much.
Joe, you're up.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate the opportunity. As you can see, I'm a one-man operation today. My running mate, Stephanie Dodd, is in Southeast Ohio, working down there, and without a plane, can't do 2 things at once. But I appreciate this opportunity. You know, my parents taught me growing up in Youngstown that, actions speak louder than words. Anybody can stand on these stages and talk through these candidates for them and make all these promises about all this stuff, but it's about what you've actually done. I grew up in Youngstown. I worked in a steel fabrication plant. I worked in landscaping crews and construction crews. I worked at a local butcher shop. I fought in the Golden Gloves in the 90s during high school. I went away to school, came back, and started working as a lawyer with my father, representing injured workers in workers' comp cases. Then I had the opportunity to go down to the Senate in 2009 and represent my people, represent the Valley. And so what I did was I went down there and worked on issues that were important to them. Not issues that some political playbook told me to do or some expert said this is how you get elected. You go into communities, you talk to the people about what they need, and then you address those concerns. So we started addressing education because we had all these for-profit charter schools that were coming into Youngstown and poaching these kids out of the public schools and making money off them. So we started proposing bills to put up safeguards for that. I saw a city in Youngstown that was built for 250,000 people that only 75,000 people lived in. So we had to deal with blight removal. We had to deal with remediation. We had to deal with giving people opportunities and making sure that everybody in our community in the Mahoning Valley felt like they were a part of this. So it's not just about the people that we're born in this place or have this advantage or that advantage. I've always legislated for everybody, given everybody fair opportunities from birth. Infant mortality, huge problem. Universal pre-K, huge problem. Fair education for everybody, something that we really need to work on. And then those opportunities to keep young people in this state. You can check my website for all those plans. We're going to go through it today. But as Ron said, we're looking for good people. We're looking for honest people. We're looking for people that will fight for what's right and be 100% straightforward throughout the process. And in me, you will always have that. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll look forward to the questions.
Ms. Sutton?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Betty Sutton, and I'm delighted to be back here with you. I am a proud life member of not only the Akron NAACP, but also the Barberton NAACP. And I have had the privilege to work with a number of folks here today, and I'm glad to get to know those of you I haven't had the chance to work with yet. I grew up down the road in Barberton, the youngest of 6. My dad worked at the boiler factory, and my mom worked at the local library. And if you'll indulge me just this moment, my mom, who is 90 years old this year, is with me today, and she's waving. And but for her and the work that she and my dad did to put, they worked hard to put food on the table and try to make a good life for us. They were happy that we could go to those great public schools in Barberton and get the education we needed. And, they tried to save up to retire with dignity. And honestly, because of the example of my parents and those who have in the community around me who really just are asking for a fair shake and a fair shot, I dedicated my life to standing up to people just like them and the folks in this room and the people that you love. Because I know that if people have a fair shake and a fair shot, they will be able to achieve not only to succeed, not only to survive, but to succeed. And I have had the honor to serve you as a city councilwoman in Barberton, a county councilwoman in Summit County, and a state representative and a member of Congress. And I have never forgotten who I was there for or why I was there. And I am so honored to be here with you today, standing next to Rich Cordray, who is running for governor in this state, because Rich is also public servant through and through. He is the son of parents who both worked with the developmentally disabled. His father was born legally blind, but they too, like my parents, set an example. And we know that this isn't about making noise or making headlines. This is about making a difference for people. That's why when I was in Congress, I fought to end discrimination based on pre-existing conditions for people and passed that health care bill with President Barack Obama, and I am proud of that. And that is why I fought for an urban youth employment program with President Obama. We put kids to work. We gave them a chance. We gave them a start. And the National Urban League gave me a Legislator of the Year award for that as well. So I am honored to be here with you. I'm excited to talk to you about why Rich and I are here to humbly ask for your support, because Ohio can be different. It can work for everyone. Thank you.
You see why I'm proud of my running mate, Betty Sutton. She is a top-flight public official and an equal partner to me in the governor's campaign. Hi, I'm Rich Cordray, and as Betty just said, I think we're all going back to our roots here today. My parents worked with people with developmental disabilities. My mom was a teacher and social worker, and my dad worked in that field his whole career. And their life was all about trying to make somebody else's life a little better, often not appreciated, often underfunded, under-resourced, but working hard every day to make that work for people. And that's just the attitude we need to take to our government at the federal level, at the state level, at the local level. We need a state government that will be a partner to our local communities here, not taking your money, as they've been doing for the last 8 years to make themselves look good at somebody else's expense, but working with local communities to solve problems. When I was state treasurer, we faced the foreclosure crisis in Ohio. Thousands of people were in danger of losing their homes, and thousands of people were losing their homes. And we worked with local officials across the state and our nonprofit agencies, and we worked with the NAACP to save thousands of people's homes because it was important at that time and important to our communities. And as Attorney General, where you also elected me to be the Attorney General, we understood that we needed to take on Wall Street. Their shenanigans had cost Ohio dearly, and they needed to pay. And we brought back $2 billion for Ohio retirees, put that back in people's pockets here, and it was important work. Because of that work, President Obama selected me and appointed me and fought for me to be the head of the Consumer Bureau in Washington, D.C. This is something you should know about the candidates in this race. Both Betty Sutton and I were appointed by President Obama to significant positions in the federal government. She was overseeing economic development on the Great Lakes. I was, as he always called me, America's consumer watchdog. And if you've seen our ads, he's in our ads. We are proud to run with Barack Obama on behalf of consumers and the people across this country. And the work that we did there was on behalf of everybody in this room and everybody in this state and everyone across the country. And Betty and I were proud to serve our country and to work with President Obama to make things better. And you know, there's a lot of dismantling going on in Washington right now. And there's an unreasoning, I don't understand it, hatred for anything having to do with President Barack Obama and his administration. And it is wrong. And we're in this race to stop it and set a different direction for the state of Ohio. We will preserve the Medicaid expansion as part of the Affordable Care Act that President Obama fought so hard for to help hundreds of thousands of people in this state. And we will fight for fairness for working people in this state, and we will fight to raise the minimum wage, and we will fight for criminal justice reform. These are things we stand for in this race. Pleased to be here today. I will have to leave about 12:30 because of my schedule, but I'll stay as long as I can to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Chantelle C. Lewis, and I am the only educator on the ballot here. So thank you. Well, how can I begin this? I must go back to my parents. My mother is a product of the Jim Crow laws. Raised in Birmingham, Alabama, walked 5 miles to school. My father went through the Glenville riots as a teenager. 50 years ago, after the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And they had 2 children. And here's a joke. I'm the oldest of 2. My mom, when she brought my brother and I was 3 years old, she was so excited, and I turned and looked at her and I said, we were doing fine by ourselves. Before I get started, am a proud member, because my sisters are in the audience, of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So I have to give shout out to that. I went on graduating from the University of Akron with a Bachelor's of Science in Elementary Education, minor in history. So last night, it's funny, Judge, we were arguing at the table, who's the worst president, Andrew Jackson or Donald Trump? It's kind of the same. Graduated with 2 master's degrees in education before the age of 30. Elected to the school board at the age of 29. Went on to city council, was elected at the age of 33. And at the age of 35 years old, I recall fighting for a man that was wrongly unjust in prison. And that man received $20 million. In January, you can clap. In January of 2018, my partner, the next governor of Ohio, Bill O'Neill, called me. He stated, I needed an educator. I said, He said, I need an educator who knows education, who has experience, not only in education, but the municipality. I said, He said, would you like to be my running mate? I said, for what? He said, Lieutenant Governor. I said, click. But Justice O'Neill, people often wonder, is he electable? He is, because he's the only one on this stage in 2012, won 87 out of 88 counties in the state of Ohio, and was the only sitting Democrat for 30 years on the Ohio Supreme Court Justice. Without further ado, this is my running mate that I'm very proud of, Bill O'Neill.
You know, with an introduction like that, I should probably just sit down and say thank you. My name is Bill O'Neill. I am a Democrat, and I am running for the Supreme Court of Ohio. For the governor of Ohio. I've left. There we go. Trust me, it's been a long week. But I served for 5 years on the Supreme Court of Ohio. I'm a retired Lieutenant Colonel, United States Army, with a Bronze Star from Vietnam, and more importantly, I'm a pediatric emergency room registered nurse. But most importantly, I think when you're going to look at a governor candidate, you have to look at their actions. And Chantelle is absolutely right. When I decided to run for governor, I said, I've got to have a running mate who really understands what we're going to do. I knew it had to be a female educator, and I went and found her, and she's just too modest to say what I'm going to say. She has 2 master's degrees. She's on her way to a PhD. She has a superintendent's license, and she is the principal of the highest performing elementary school in Lorain County. My partner, Chantelle Lewis. She's ready. She's ready. Briefly, I served as a counsel to the Ohio Civil Rights Commission. I was prosecuting sexual harassment cases before Clarence Thomas was even a blip on the screen. I have represented a black teenager wrongfully accused of a crime, and I've marched him out of the courthouse as a free man. You know, I was an assistant attorney general. I was the chairman of the Ashtabula County Fair Housing Board, and we had to tell an 82-year-old female, you may not discriminate based upon race, even if you only own 1 apartment suite. And it was a heartbreaking case, but we said the law is the law. You know, it's interesting because what everybody knows me for today is I'm the candidate that says that the time to legalize marijuana in Ohio is today. There's no question about that. Go on, you can clap, it's okay. That doesn't make you a criminal, it's all right. But you know, we have an opioid crisis that nobody is addressing, and I'm the candidate that says we have to reopen our state mental health network. It's just non-negotiable. We're losing 5,000 people a year to opioid crisis, and as my time wears down, the one thing I want you to remember, if you hear nothing else today, the state of Ohio has embarked on a program of privatizing our prison systems. So we now have a system where one citizen imprisons another citizen for a profit. If you hear nothing else today, please hear me. It is morally reprehensible to have a prison system run for profit.
Thank you all, candidates.